Hello, welcome back to the Watford Way. A lot to get into and discuss today because what a busy day it's been in the transfer market around Watford. Stuff about Ronaldo, not Ronaldo to Watford, but a lot's happening in the transfer market basically, including with Watford. We'll get into that a little bit later on. Third kit was also released today as well. I've got my notepad with me, so I'll take you through what we are going to be discussing today. So, third kit, Thursday, that was the first thing that happened today. That got revealed this morning at about 9 a.m. Really, really nice third kit. We got the Home League Cup draw to talk about with Stoke. Obviously, Watford beat Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup. So we were drawn at home to Stoke in the next round, round three. Tottenham away preview, of course, as well. Isaac's success leaving Watford to join Udinese. We'll touch a little bit on that. Troy Deeney to leave Watford. We'll touch on that as well. And just literally a couple of moments ago, Fabrizio Romano on Twitter. I'll get it up for you now so you can have a look at it as well. But Fabrizio Romano coming out with some information, basically saying that Watford have open talks with Tottenham for the transfer of Moussa Sissoko, and the agreement is possible, work in progress, and Spurs looking to excuse me, Spurs looking to make some outgoings. So very, very interesting there. Watford in talks with Moussa Sissoko. What does that mean for Nathaniel Chalobah? Does that mean he's going to be leaving the club as well? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that. But we'll touch on Moussa Sissoko again a little bit later. We'll start with what was the first news of the day, which was the third kit reveal. Really nice kit, actually, like a greeny. I'm not quite sure what colour you would call it, like a teal, a green, something like that. Yeah, very, very nice. I actually prefer that to the home and the away kit. The away kit was my favourite, and then obviously this came out. So yeah, really, really happy with this kit. Looks really, really nice. Kelme done a great job with the kits this season. So yeah, definitely going to pick that up when they are on sale towards the end of the season. So yeah, really, really nice third kit that, and hopefully, I'm not sure if they'll actually wear it against Tottenham on Sunday. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, really nice kit. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on the kit in the chat. Next bit of news to touch on is the Home League Cup draw versus Stoke. Watford obviously beating Crystal Palace by 1-0. I think he scored around the 85th minute. Ashley Fletcher on the back post after a Cucho Hernandez cross. Crystal Palace actually largely dominated that game. Watford not really playing that well, giving the possession away in midfield quite a lot. But we did get the win. Do we really want to be going on a cup run this season? Not particularly. However, if we keep getting favourable draws, against lower league opposition or against similar opposition to Watford, then I don't really see any problems with it. Gives players a chance to get fit. Players who wouldn't have normally played, Ashley Fletcher, for example, a few others as well. Ben Foster, they got a run out against Crystal Palace, so that was great to see. Jeremy Ngakia as well. Kiko coming back, Cirielta getting some games as a game as well. Danny Rose putting in a fantastic performance against Crystal Palace as well. My personal man of the match for that game. So that's great to see. And yeah, we're drawn against Stoke in the next round at home at Vicarage Road. Hopefully we should progress through that. But the Carabao Cup, Watford don't really have a good history with that. We tend to get knocked out quite early in the Carabao Cup. So look, if we get knocked out to Stoke, do I care? Not really. If we go through, happy days. We've got another game to watch of the mighty Hornets. So look, doesn't bother me at all. And yeah, home league cup tie against Stoke City. Moving on down my notepad. Tottenham away. Now, obviously, this is what this video is about. However, there's been so much news happening today Musa Sissoko, Troy Deeney, Isaac's success, that it's kind of been forgotten about a little bit this game. But look, I am excited for the game. I'm actually going to the game myself, which I'm really, really excited for and looking forward to. First time going to the new Tottenham Stadium as well, so I'm excited about that. But it is a game that Watford, we can obviously get a result from it. Of course we can. Spurs, coming off the back of a crazy transfer window in terms of Harry Kane, throughout the whole window after that Gary Neville interview he did, Harry Kane's been rumoured with a move to Manchester City, £150 million, throughout the whole transfer window. So yeah, it's big for them that Harry Kane's now come back from that and he's committed himself to Tottenham for at least another year. Makes me a little bit concerned, just purely because Harry Kane coming back just before the Watford game. Is he going to score a hat-trick against us? Probably. So yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about that. But look, overall, of course, we can get a result against Tottenham. We've got the players to hurt them. Cucho, Dennis, Sarr. That is a really, really strong front three. As I said earlier, we've been linked with a Tottenham player, Musa Sissoko. So look, it's going to be really, really tough. But you know what? I'd take a draw because we beat Aston Villa. Fantastic performance. Lost to Brighton, not such fantastic performance. So if we can get a draw from Tottenham and come out these first 3 games with 4 points, I'd take that. I'd definitely take that. I've got a couple of comments here. We'll get through them in a second. But yeah, I'd take 4 points from the first 3 games. Tottenham, very, very tough. Look, they've got some fantastic players. Son, Lucas Moura, Steven Bergwijn. A lot of players there who could hurt Watford. A lot of good defenders as well. They've obviously just brought in Christian Romero from Italy. So a lot of good players that Tottenham have got. But I think Watford actually also have a really, really strong squad. And actually, I prefer the squad they've got now to the last season we were in the Premier League. So look, I'm obviously concerned that we could get spanked. That's obviously still a possibility. We could lose 5-0. But I'm also a little bit hopeful that we can do something, and fingers crossed, maybe we can at least get a draw, if not a win from the Tottenham game. So that's my thoughts on Spurs. TH saying without Hughes, we've got big issues in the midfield. Well, we'll get onto that in a second because Fabrizio Romano has just tweeted some important transfer news regarding Watford, so I'll get onto that in a second. And Adam Tomlinson, again, same thoughts on the Hughes situation. I'm just a little bit disappointed that Hughes didn't choose to stay. In that brief article that Adam Leventhal published earlier, it said we offered him a £60,000 a week contract. That is a big contract for Watford to give to Will Hughes. Excuse me, a big commitment from Watford to offer him that much money. The fact that he's still turned that down, it doesn't sit right with me. And I think regardless, we could have offered him £70,000-80,000 a week. Whatever we would have offered him, it seems like he would have turned it down, because it seems like from the start of this transfer window, his eyes have just been set on a move away from Watford, which isn't very good. But Will Hughes is a fantastic player. I wish him all the best at Palace. Obviously, I don't want Palace to do very well, but Will Hughes as a person, we've all seen from Ben Foster's logs, he is a laugh. He seems like a funny guy. He seems like a nice guy. It just seems like he wanted too much money, and he didn't want this relegation clause that we wanted to implement into his contract. So yeah, very much a shame that Will Hughes isn't going to stay at Watford. Not sure what's going to happen with Chalobah either. We'll have to wait and see on that. But I've got a bit more news on the midfield situation to touch on in just a second. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Will Hughes situation. Wish him all the best. But yeah, I'm just gutted that it didn't work out at Watford, because the contract we offered him there was more than enough money for him to accept. And, maybe Palace offered him 80-90 grand a week. Who knows what they offered him, but it's just a shame that it didn't work out at Watford for him. And obviously, he's had a great career at Watford. He's been a fantastic player for us. But I feel like he could have been, with Troy Deeney set to leave, Will Hughes could have been a potential future club captain, and he's kind of thrown that all away in this one transfer window. So very, very disappointing indeed. Caroline saying, I hope Will doesn't regret his decision. Probably not the upwards move he had hoped for. I do agree with that. I think that Will Hughes is good enough to go to a much bigger and better club than Crystal Palace. Don't get me wrong, Crystal Palace have been in the Premier League a lot longer than Watford have. Crystal Palace haven't been relegated for a very long time, so I can understand it from that aspect. But look at the start Crystal Palace have had this season. They've not looked very good at all. They didn't beat us the other day in the Carabao Cup. So I do agree with you. I think that it is a sideward step for Will Hughes. But look, it's his choice. If he's gonna be, if he's gone there just to get another 10 or 20 grand a week, good for him. He's obviously doing what he wants to do for his family, which is fair enough. But from a Watford perspective, it is just gutting because he is one of our better players, and he would start for us every single week if he was here. So as I said, fair play to him. He's had a good career at Watford, but unfortunately, no player is bigger than the club. So thank you very much, Will. And yeah, just don't do very well against Watford when you play against us at Palace. And yeah, Will's agent has messed up big time. Absolutely agree. Next little bit of news. Obviously, just touched on Tottenham. We just touched on Will Hughes. Next bit of news come earlier this afternoon, and that is Isaac's success to Udinese. Literally, I couldn't care less about Isaac's success, to be honest with you. His attitude wasn't very good. He was an awful football player, and he didn't do very well at Watford. Now, look, obviously, I'm sure, as most footballers are, I'm sure they're quite nice people, but look, it was never going to work out at Watford for Isaac's success. He should have been moved on quite a long time ago, at least 2 years ago. I was expecting him to move on. That didn't happen for whatever reason, maybe wages, length of contract, whatever it was, maybe that was an issue. He has gone now to Udinese, obviously the Pozzo's own Watford and Udinese, so he's basically stayed in that Watford network, the Pozzo network, by going over to Italy to join up with Deulofeu, Pereira and Okaka and Passetto. So yeah, success. Leaving Watford, as I said, couldn't care less at all. But yeah, wish Isaac all the best for the rest of his career. And yeah, as TH says, success was not a great success for Watford. Rudy saying just saw about Sissoko. I'll touch on that in a second, Rudy. And yeah, I'm not. Excuse me. I've not got COVID, by the way. I've done a COVID test. I definitely haven't got COVID. But yeah, success wasn't a success. And yeah, attitude wasn't very good from what we saw. Overall, wasn't at the level needed to play for Watford. Although he did score that banging goal against Swansea at the end of last season, and he also scored a really good goal in, was it the FA Cup or Carabao Cup against Tottenham? Yeah, that's a really good goal. But apart from that, I can't really remember anything else that success did at Watford. So yeah, wish him all the best, but couldn't care less. Thanks, Isaac. Appreciate all the memories. Adam saying, if Crystal Palace got relegated and we had the option to buy Hughes back, would I? No, definitely not. That ship sailed for me now. Regardless of what the players, it could be any player, right? It could have been Troy Deeney, it could have been, whatever player it would have been. If we offered them a lot of money and they don't want to stay because that's not enough money for them, which I think is what the situation is. Then I don't care. Like you could have scored 500 goals for Watford and be in a prime of your career. If you don't want to stay at Watford, get out of the club, because ultimately we support Watford. We don't support one individual player. So no, I would not buy him back. We've got plenty of good midfield options now. And yeah, but look, I like Will. He's a really, really nice guy. I've met him once actually after a game. Really, really nice guy, chill guy. But look, that ship has sailed for me now. He's going to Palace. We don't like Crystal Palace. He's now a Crystal Palace player. And yeah, let's leave that now, because I think that Will Hughes, we could sit here for hours and hours and talk about the Will Hughes situation, but for me, I just want to forget about it now. We got a decent fee, 6 million, potentially rising to 10 million. 1 year left on his contract. I think we've done quite well to get that fee. So let's move on and yeah, look ahead to the rest of the season. Right, let's move on to a bit more news. Have a quick drink, actually. So much news to get through today, it really is. So we talked about Isaac's success. Troy Deeney to leave Watford. Now, this was reported by Adam Leventile probably a couple of hours ago now. And again, a bit of a shock for me to read this. It's all going on today with all of the transfers around the world of football. But Troy Deeney potentially leaving Watford come the end of this transfer window. I put out a good tweet actually on my personal account, kind of talking about the forward options that we have at Watford. Obviously, Sarr, King, Dennis, Pedro, Cucho, Ashley Fletcher. There's a lot of players in there who, for me, technically are a lot better than Troy Deeney is at the moment. Now, Troy Deeney, obviously, is undeniably a Watford legend. He's my favourite ever Watford player. But, again, no player is ever bigger than the club. And what I mean by that is we could keep Troy Deeney this season on his ridiculous wages and he wouldn't have really played at all. Now, when, what, and the argument against me could be, well, James, he's a leader, he's the captain of the club, he can offer us lots more in the dressing room. But my argument back to you would be, he does have to leave at some point. Now, do you want to spend loads more wages on him throughout this season for him not to feature? Really, not at all. Or do you want to free up his wages, maybe bring in some more younger players or players in other positions where they're needed? I'd rather do that. And look, Troy Deeney, he could have stayed until next year, seen out his contract, and I personally wouldn't have minded that. But yeah, it just seeing players like Cucho, Dennis, Fletcher, Sarr, Pedro, players like that who were so much more technical on the ball. They're a lot quicker than Troy. And actually, I just think overall, they are now better players than Troy. Troy in his prime, when he was 26, 27, absolutely fantastic. I wouldn't have wanted anyone else to play for Watford. But, injuries have caught up with him. I know he's not injured currently, but, in terms of just losing his yard of pace that he once had, I think it is time for him to move on, which is a shame. But yeah, I mean, I've literally got a picture of Troy on my wall up there. I've got a massive framed photo of him, signature and everything on my wall up there. And look, he'll forever be in my memory as my favourite and best ever Watford player that I've seen in real life. But it is time to move on, I think. And I think this is the right time to do it, because if you do it at the end of this season, we get relegated. He goes out on a negative. If he goes now, he's got us back up to the Premier League with the squad last season in the Championship. He's got us back up. And look, Troy, if we're being honest, he can still offer us something, and he can offer some other clubs something as well. Because if someone like a Tottenham, a Man United, and Arsenal, whoever it may be, if they need a backup striker for a year or two, what a great option to have, to bring Troy Deeney off the bench, target man, make an impact. I think that's something that he'll probably be looking to do. He's mentioned before he wants to move over to the MLS in America. That's in his thinking as something he wants to do. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him do that either. He obviously announced his book deal recently, his autobiography. So yeah, for me, I think it's time for him to go. It's a real shame. I'm sure we'll make a whole, really, really long video on it when it does happen. Probably crying, to be honest, because he is such a legend. But I think it is time for him to go, which is a shame. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Troy in the chat, of course, and I'll read out some of your messages. But yeah, it is a shame. But them forward options that I read out there: Sarr, Dennis, Cucho, King, Pedro, Sema. They're just, it's undeniable the quality we got in that position this season, and Troy would have a real, where's his opportunity going to come to play in that? Because Cucho is so good, Dennis is so good, Sarr is so good. They'd all have to get injured for him to play, and I think that's the problem, and I think that's why he's looking to move on. And that's how I would leave that, really. I think that would be so hard for him to play. That does he want to waste a year of his career just sitting on the bench? I wouldn't. So yeah. Bye bye, Troy. Yeah, we don't know what club he's going to yet. That wasn't confirmed by Adam Leventhal earlier. Probably, I think he'll go to America, but yeah, as I said, we'll have to wait and see. Let's read a few of your comments. Caroline saying Troy has been a great servant to the club, both on and off the pitch, but maybe it's time to go. But where to? I absolutely agree. I don't know where he's going to go. But as I said, I think it might be America because he has mentioned that a few times in some interviews. TH saying Deeney played no part in our promotion. I would say other players played bigger parts. Obviously, Sarr really was our guy, but he did score what 7 goals in our promotion, and obviously that is a contribution. So he did play a part. You could argue he played a part by getting injured, but that is a discussion for another day. And yeah, Deeney could come alive at another club. But I reckon Deeney will probably go until it's about 35, 36. He's 33 years old currently, so he is getting towards the end of his professional career in football now. So yeah, look, it's up to him where he wants to go. We can keep him for another year. That's totally down to Watford. He as I said, he does have that year left on his contract, so we can keep him. But look, if we can get a fee for him, get his wages off the books, and obviously we've got all the memories from him from previous years as well. I don't see it as a bad thing, and we do have to move on eventually at some point as well. Excuse me, I'm very thirsty today. Doing a lot of talking. Caroline saying, if Troy left, who would become the club captain? That's a difficult question. Let me have a think. So I would say Ben Foster, but he doesn't actually play enough to warrant being captain. Who would become club captain? I don't think William Troost-Ekong should either, because I don't think he's been here long enough. Surely Tom Cleverley, right? Tom Cleverley, do you reckon? Saying that though, Tom Cleverley is not starting games currently. Adam's saying Chalobah or Bachmann. Batman's a shout, actually. I wouldn't mind Batman being captain, although it's usually quite rare for, Watford don't really tend to have a goalkeeper as captain. Cleverley's the obvious choice. I do agree, Caroline. Yeah, Tom. A lot of you saying Tom Cleverley. I reckon it would be Cleverley, but again, yeah, you know what? Actually, I'm not going to have a whole discussion about that. Tom Cleverley would take up the reins because actually, if you remember last season when Troy wasn't playing and Troy was injured, Tom Cleverley did take up that responsibility. So surely Tom Cleverley would take up that responsibility this season if Troy does leave. Last bit of news to touch on. I did mention it earlier. I'll bring it up on the screen for you now, and that is from Fabrizio Romano. And the news is that Watford have open talks with Tottenham for Moussa Sissoko, and the agreement is, in quotation marks, possible, a work in progress for the outgoings on the Spurs side. So another midfielder that Watford have been linked with. Earlier today, Sky Sports reporting that Watford have made a bid for OK Yekuzlu. We've obviously just brought in Tufan from Turkey. So yeah, this would signal to me that Chalobah is on his way out as well. Moussa Sissoko is not a creative midfielder, so Moussa Sissoko would be, for me, either the sit-in midfielder or the box-to-box midfielder. I don't know enough on Tufan actually to say where he plays really in midfield. If any of you know more on Tufan, let me know. But look, Moussa Sissoko, he is a really good player. Went from Newcastle to Spurs. Spurs fans actually didn't like him at first, but he did become a first-team player for them for quite a period of time. So it'll be a good deal for Watford to do. It doesn't actually specify there whether it's a permanent transfer or a loan. However, the wording he's used, if I just read it again, it does sound like it's going to be a permanent deal because it would be an outgoing. So Watford have open talks with Tottenham for Musa Sissoko, and the agreement is possible. You know, if it was a loan deal, surely Fabrizio would have said, right? So yeah, I presume it is a permanent deal, hopefully for not a lot of money. But as I just said, we've got £10 million from Hughes, 6 million up front. If Chandler believes, we'll get a fee for him as well. So yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad deal in my opinion. Is a quality player, and would start for us. So for me, I'm not bothered at all with that deal. Really, let me know your thoughts on Musa Sissoko in chat before I head off. My voice is hurting very much now because I've done a lot of talking on stream today, and yeah, we've covered a lot of news as well. If I just get through what we've covered today, a lot of, I mean, we've not even touched on some other transfer stories as well. You know, Ronaldo to Manchester City, what a crazy deal that will be. But yeah, third kit revealed earlier. Home League Cup draw versus Stoke. Tottenham away preview. Success to Udinese. Troy Deeney to leave Watford, and Musa Sissoko to potentially join Watford as well. So there we have it. I hope you've all enjoyed the stream. I certainly have. My voice is starting to break up now, so I will head off. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. There'll be no Spurs watch along this weekend because I'm going to be there, which I'm really, really excited about. But yeah, leave a like on the video. Let me know your thoughts on all the Watford transfer news and goings on in the comment section down below. And we'll catch you in another stream or video very, very soon. Bye-bye, guys.